Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flores breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective.
Hey there, everyone. Whoa, hey there, everyone. My voice wasn't there. Man, faux pas by the announcer. Let's try that again. Hey, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well on this Monday. Hope things went well this weekend. Hope we're just rocking and rolling. I know a lot of you are struggling with some fantasy squads. We'll talk a little bit about some of the player movement coming up here on the show. We'll talk a little bit about the waiver wire, how it went over the weekend. Don't forget to go to FantasyGuru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. We can help you out. We can help you out with your DFS. We can help you out with the wagering. We can help you out with your seasonal. So head over to FantasyGuru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can always send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com, support at FantasyGuru.com. Before we throw up on the screen the schedule for the show today, a couple of programming notes. One, the shows this week are going to be a few minutes shorter than normal. Why is that? Well, they've changed the game time show that Justin Fensman and I do on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio to a different time. So here's what we got. 12 o'clock Eastern right here on this show, Fantasy Sports Daily, Monday through Friday. We'll be here for about 45, 50 minutes this week instead of our traditional hour. 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'll be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Justin Fensman will be here on Friday. Okay, so a little bit of a different schedule on the show this week. Secondly, our show Game Time, which is 8 to 10 Eastern, Monday through Friday. For those of you saying, no one on Sirius talks baseball, Justin and I spend an hour and a half a night on baseball. So 8 to 10 Eastern, Elite Sports Game Time show, Justin Fensman and myself, Monday through Friday. This week, however, we're on 1 to 3 Eastern. So as soon as I finish this show, hopping over there to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio to do the Game Time show. Then right after us is Jeff Mann's Elite Sports show. So what we basically got is we got a 6-hour block here this week, 6 or 7 hours this week. 12 o'clock Eastern here on this show. 1 o'clock Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, myself and Justin Fensman on Elite Sports. Then 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Jeff Mann's on the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM. So that also means if you're putting it all together, yes, on Wednesday, I will be talking for 6 straight hours. Hopefully the voice will hold up, probably will. Head over to FG, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. What are we talking about today? It's on the screen there. Last year, excuse me, we did the FAAB review on Mondays and people liked it. Didn't do it the first week this year, did it last week on the show and people said we like it. So we're going to go through it again today. We'll go through the FAAB. Who spent one on whom? We'll go through that. Then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about some of the MLB news and notes, 6-man rotations, the return of Spencer Strider, the loss of Justin Steele, Wilmer, Flores, and Cam Smith. Everyone is obsessed with these two guys. I can't figure it out. So we'll talk a little bit about it. Amador, Wilson Contreras, Jordan Walker, Taylor Ward, Zebby Mathews, Clarke Schmidt, and Alexis Diaz. We'll break down those situations with those players as well. Okay, so remember, go to FantasyGuru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. We'll help you set lineups. We'll help you place bets. We'll help you win at DFS, FantasyGuru.com. All right, throw it up on the screen here. Let me even do this again. Let me make me a little, there we go. We'll make me small again. So as you can see there on the screen, we've got the LABR FAAB from the weekend. This is a 15-team mixed league. Okay, so we got 15 experts in this league. Lots going on. We've got $100 to spend. In this setup, you have to spend at least $1 on a player. You can't pick up anybody for $0. So there's always a little bit of caution that needs to be displayed because you don't want to run out of money. You want to make sure that everything's going okay with your squad long term. Short term, we talked about this. In some leagues, I'm in some leagues, including LABR, that have old school rules. We run waivers once a week, which is not old school, but we do have an old school rule that you can't pick up a player in the minors until they've been officially promoted to the bigs. We knew Veen last weekend was getting promoted, but he hadn't actually been promoted to the Rockies, so he was not eligible to be added last week. So as you can see there, he went for $13 to Rudy Gamble of Razzball. I initially had a $12 bet or $12 FAAB bid. So again, this is something we talked about last week. I did get Veen in another league in Tout Wars. Had a $12 bet, wouldn't have been enough. 13 ended up being the winning bid. As you can see there, I dropped it down. I ended up dropping it down to, I think I was the $9 one. So backed it off. Wouldn't have mattered. I had 12. Wouldn't have mattered. I wasn't getting Zach Veen. Veen struggled this first week with the Rockies, but as we know, he's got that little bit of pop. He's certainly got the speed. He's getting an opportunity to play every day right now. The Rockies are also bringing up Amador. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So Totally worth this bid by Rudy Gamble, totally worthwhile, as we talked about last week on the show. Trent Grisham was up next for $8. Remember, $8 is the same as $80 in a $1,000 FAAB setup. And this is one of those, I think this is one of those Wilmer Flores calls. As you can see, that there was a lot of interest in Grisham, but all the bids were 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and 8. So clearly the 8 was an overpay based on the room. I think 8 was an overpay based upon who Trent Grisham is. He's been off to a terrific start, and he's definitely a solid defensive player, strong defensive player actually. And the Yankees could use that in the outfield, because it's not like the outfield is filled with geniuses in the corners. Same time, his bat is really hot right now, and it's just not going to stay that way. I mean, what has Trent Grisham hit the last 3 years? 180, 190. Like, it's not good. So, to me, again, I'm just not interested. I'd rather spend the money if you're gonna pick up Trent Grisham. Might as well go on for Zach Meany and go for it, right? That's just the way I see it. Hell, pick up Mike Yastrzemski for $3. Like, that's just how I see it. I think that's going to play itself out because Grisham is not a good hitter. He gets exposed, and as good as his defense is, if he's batting .220 with 16 home runs and 11 steals, do you care? I don't think anyone will be caring about this in a couple of months. Jake Myers went to Yahoo Sports for $7. Again, according to the room, an overspend. We talked about this last week. If you missed it, I think it was Friday last week, we did the FAAB review, so check that out. I guess it's episode, what is it, 377, if I'm not mistaken. So check that out. We did a FAAB review, how to handle FAAB, how to bid, all that kind of stuff. And we talked about the fact that money's going to be wasted. And money was wasted here on Jake Myers. One bid of $4, and then 4 other bids of 3 and less, 3 and under, and then he went for $7. He's a fine ad, but Jake Myers is an overspend at $7 in my opinion. Now, again, you have needs. It's a 15-team league. You've got needs. You've got holes. Everyone does it. As you can see here, I'm about ready to talk about my bid of $4 on Javier Baez, which you might say is stupid. So everyone's got their thing, and that's one of the situations to keep in mind when we talk about 15-team leagues. It's just not the same as the traditional 10 or 12-team league. It's not the same as a head-to-head league where you're just rolling through players. Just not how it's set up. So keep that in mind when we're talking about the players. And everyone's got a need, and I'll explain that about my bid just a second here. Next up on the bidding list here, David Festa went for $6. Festa was called up to make a start. Everyone was hoping it would be Zebby Mathews who gets in the rotation now that there's the injury to Pablo Lopez with the Twins. Maybe that still happens, but Festa got the first outing, and he's going to get the next outing. The team's already said they're not calling up Mathews' next turn through the rotation. Doesn't mean he won't be up in 10 days. He's just not going to be the next turn through the rotation. So Festa went for $6 to the fantasy fix. Another scenario where no one bid more than half of that price point, so maybe a little bit of an overspend. Not a bad spend. 6% of your budget on Festa. I do question how long he's going to stay in the rotation, which is the obvious issue. They've got Chris Paddock there, who's a veteran who's got a bigger contract. They've got Pablo Lopez on the side, and they've got Zebby Mathews, who I think profiles better than Festa. So we'll see with David Festa. Pater Pages went for $4. Another one. Next highest bid was $2. Obviously, we've got injury issues. Sleeper in the bus. We've got Pages, who's going to be the starter for St. Louis for a little bit of time here with Herrera out for however long. What did they say? 3 weeks, 4 weeks? It might be longer than that. But Pages is off to a really good start with the bat. But again, 15-team league, 2 catchers. So slim pickings if you're going to that waiver wire. Adael Amador is being called up. We might as well just talk about him here. We're going to talk about him later. No, I'll talk about him later. I'll keep on the schedule. We'll talk about him later. $4, fine to take a shot there. Unclear how much time Amador is going to get at the big league level. Javi Baez to Ray Flowers for $4. Ray, have you lost your freaking mind? No, maybe, but not for this reason. Sometimes things happen and you just have to react. And the fact is that Javier Baez has been pretty effective in the early going. He's playing more days than not, and I needed somebody. It's a 15-team mixed league. We start 14 hitters. We've got, shortstop, middle infield. So, guys have got players on the bench and all this. There's just no one to turn to. Why did I go Javier Baez? I thought he was the best option of available players. Why did I go $4 when no one else bid anything? Because I had to get a shortstop. Why did I have to get a shortstop? I lost Mason Wynn and C.J. Abrams, my 2 shortstops, in a 15-team mixed league. I lost both my shortstops within, 12 hours of one another to the injured list. So I had a shortstop in Abrams. I smartly backed him up with another shortstop so I could make that move if there was an injury with Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn started slowly, starting to come around a bit. He had this back issue. They said the back spasm was no big deal. They ended up placing him on the injured list. So I went from having, an all-star shortstop and a guy who I think could have a big season this year as my middle infielder backup shortstop to having 0 shortstops on my roster. So Javier Baez, I had to overpay. I initially had it at 2, then I went to 3, and I said, "Geez, I got to get him a 4." So it was not what I wanted to do, not what made me feel good. But in my scenario, I had no choice. I had no shortstop on my roster. Looking at the other bids, Chase Madroth, I had a $4 bid on too. He was up next behind Baez. Then it was Edmund Sosa, Paul DeYoung, Ernie Clement, Taylor Wells, Luis Angel Acuna. Wasn't good. So rough. We'll talk about Caballero in a second too, by the way. So back at the waiver wire here as we continue to go through the list. That's why. So don't go crazy here. Matthew Liberatore went for $4. Liberator's fine ad. Fine ad. Nothing wrong with that again. David Festa went for $6. So it's totally fine to go for Liberatore. Easton Lucas went to $3 to Zach Steinhorn. Lucas has been pretty good for the Blue Jays his first couple of outings. He's in line for a 2-start week this week. Let's pull it up here. I forget who he's starting against. Well, it would help if there we go. He's facing the Braves, who have been kind of so-so, and then he's facing the Mariners. So it's a decent 2-start week for Easton Lucas. Workload. Is he going to throw 100 pitches? No, but he's in that starting rotation for now for the Blue Jays, and he's got a 2-start week. Of course, that's if they don't change things up, which we know how that goes. Alex Call went to Fred Zinke for $3. This one is Call is a certain type of player, right? He's going to steal bases, and he's not going to do much else. But the last couple of weeks, his bat has been white hot. Dylan Cruz continues to struggle. I don't think Dylan Cruz is going to get demoted. I don't. But Alex Call is hitting. Cruz isn't hitting. Call's basically been in the lineup every day for 10 days now. So that's a astute pickup for Fred Zinke. He's a runner. He can still 25, 30 bases. It's just the bat won't be that good for Call. Matt Mervis went to Fred Zinke as well. A bunch of bids at $2, and Fred got him for $3, so he nailed that one in terms of price point. JT Ginn of the Athletics. I didn't bid on him in this league, but I did bid on him in another league. He's set to face Milwaukee on Friday. Looked pretty good his first couple outings. So I think that was, again, I bid on him in another league. I think that, and again, I'm in 15-team, 14-team leagues. I think Ginn is somebody that, performing well in the minors, looking pretty sharp thus far for the Athletics, and, not the worst matchup in the world either this week. Cal Hart went for $2 to RotoWire. He had a solid effort the last time that he took the mound for the Padres. Jose Caballero to Ray Flowers for $2. Ray, what the hell are you doing? Well, I lost Wynn and Abrams, so I got 2 roster spots. I got Javier Baez to play shortstop, and then I got Caballero to play everywhere else. Caballero in this league qualifies at second base, third base, shortstop, and outfield. Does he play every day? No. Is he a great offensive player? No. But right now, look at the production right now. He's stolen 5 bases already. He's got a 1,000 OPS. If he had a 780 OPS, I'd be surprised. So it's not about the bat, though. Right now, he's 6 for his last 14. He's blazing hot at the moment. This is really about the positional flexibility that I get by adding him. And this is about the ability to steal a base. 3 steals the last 6 games, 4 the last 10. Last season, he stole 44 bases. So this was kind of my Alex Call pickup for the week, if we're being honest. But in my case, I needed help up the middle, and Caballero could actually play in the infield and the outfield. So he might actually be somebody. I might end up holding on to him and putting Baez back out on the waiver wire. I might end up doing that. We'll see how it plays out here the next couple of weeks with Wynn, with Abrams, with Baez, but that is a possibility. Caballero to me for the couple bucks, which again, in a 15-team mixer with that positional flexibility is worth the $2. There was a failed bid on him for $1. You can see that, by the way. Madroth, as we talked about, went for 2. 4 people bid on him. Madroth he's got like a 60 hit tool, which is really exciting. The problem is he's got no power. He's not going to steal bases. He's not a very good defensive player. So, but he was called up by the White Sox, and if he hits, there's no reason the White Sox just don't let him play. So, as I noted, he was my number 2 guy behind Baez, and in that bidding group, I had Caballero the head of the other bidding group. So, just limited player. He's, if everything comes together for Madoff, he hits 273 with 9 home runs and 13 steals, which again, there is value to that in a mixed league that's this deep. If you have injuries that you're dealing with, but and again, I'll pull a step back and say too, look, if this guy gets 500 plate appearances, he can be a top 10 AL Rookie of the Year performer. It's not sexy or exciting, but he could volume you to get there. And there's always a chance he gets 285 because he does have a good hit tool. It's just a weak overall bat. Don't have a problem at all at that price point in my leagues. Nolan Gorman went for $2 to Dr. Roto. Gorman is the power bat that can't find his consistency, can't find a spot in the lineup, can't find his spot making contact. We know what it is with Gorman. There's always the hope. And in theory, he's one of the 5 best power hitting second basemen in baseball. But there are holes in his game that he has yet to close up, and it's been years now. Next up, Quinn Priester went to DVR, the Athletic, for $1. Quinn Priester actually has, performed pretty well here. Let's pull him up and see who he's facing this week. He's facing Detroit on Tuesday, and then next week he'll face the Giants. So only one start this week for Priester, but he's been pretty effective thus far. He's a streamer. And again, if you're streaming in a 15-team mixed league, and by the way, I say this, be careful the moves you're making. I'm getting questions over in Discord where people are asking me about, adding pitchers and making moves. It's like, if you're in a head-to-head league, you chose to be in a head-to-head league, you got to have patience. Okay? And I understand, Ray, I'm 0-3. Okay, but don't be dropping superior players because they've started slowly. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to be that reactive, you should probably play Roto. I'm just saying, honestly. If your reaction is, I got to drop anyone that struggles for 2 weeks at the start of the season, you should play Roto and just sit back and have patience. Because it's going to even itself out. It's going to. Trust me. In 75% of the cases, it evens itself out. If you're going to be reactionary with player that you took in the 23rd round, fine. If you're going to drop the player you took in the 13th round, 15 days into the season, I don't think head-to-head's for you. You're just, because you're going to make a move now that looks good on paper. It's going to be good for 10 days. And then 10 days later, you're going to have to go back and try to get the guy you just dropped today. So anyway, Taiwan Walker went for $1. I don't care. We talked about him earlier on the show. Andre Plante for $1. Same thing. Fine ad. It's only because it's a 15-teamer we're streaming. Alex Vesia for $1. He's been really good. Tons of strikeouts now. He's not really in line to get any saves. So that one, I've looked at him a couple of times when I've had injuries in leagues. 15-team leagues, no starting pitchers that I like, that kind of thing, because he's not in line to get saves for the Dodgers, but he's pitched very well. The next guy up would be my preference, Jason Adam, and I bid on him in another league this weekend. Jason Adam went for $1. I'd much rather have Adam than Vesia, because Vesia is behind multiple guys to work the 9th inning for the Dodgers. Adam's behind one guy, Suarez. That's what it looks like at the moment. Jeff Conine for $1. Shane Smith for $1. Mike Lorenzen for $1. David Hamilton for $1. Noelvi Marte for $1. Marte is the most interesting one. We've talked about him here on the show, going back to last year and the PED suspension and all that. He's been promoted by the Reds. We'll see how long he stays in the lineup. The answer to the question is unknown. But the fact is that Noelvi Marte, 12 months ago, a pretty intriguing prospect. He just didn't get it done last year on the field and then with the suspension off the field. It's unclear how long he'll get a run here with the Reds. They have a lot of players and, all that kind of stuff. But as we always talk about, Marte was hitting in the minors. If he hits when he's called up, they find a way to keep him in the lineup. Could be demoted. $1 bid in a 15-team league. Love that. Here's the next one up. The 14-team FSGA mixed league. This league has $1,000. Leody Tavares for $76. No one else bid $1 on Tavares, so an overspend there by the Roto World crew. Obviously, there's injuries, Langford in particular being down, so Tavares should play most days. A little bit of power, a little bit of speed, solid offensive player. Just a little bit of a high price to pay to get that. Zebby Mathews went for $70 to Colton the Wolfman. They added him, and then the weight. Colton Wolfman and Stern, by the way, I forgot it. Left her name out. Sorry, Stacy. They $70 for Mathews. I mean, when he gets called up, it's $130. So you can see a couple other bids in the low below 30 for Mathews. 70's aggressive for a guy that's not getting called up this week, but again, once it happens, the bidding will be pretty fierce. Easton Lucas went for 48 here. As you can see, tons of action on Lucas for the 2-start week. And this is something that I see a lot of in my leagues, because in my leagues, again, 14, 15-team mixed leagues, really deep. You go to the waiver wire, you're seeing guys like Alex Vesia added, right? Andrew Abbott, you see down here a little bit added. Like, these guys are not woo, but if the matchups are good this week, we'll throw $30 at him out of the 1,000 and try to get him for, let's get 3 starts out of the guy. We'll be okay. $48 again to Colton, Stern, and the Wolfman. Looking for that 2-start week for Easton Lucas. David Festa went to Dr. Roto at 48. And look at the bidding here. 48, 47, 44, 44, 32, 32. Like a lot of bids right in that same 3 to 5% range. So that was pretty heavy bidding for Festa. Obviously, a lot of people in the league hoping that Festa will hold on to a starting role. Though again, note Festa, who has the job right now, went for 48. And Mathews, who doesn't have the job, or not even in the big leagues right now, went for 7. Andrew Abbott, again, I mentioned earlier, $41. Who's he starting against this week? Andrew Abbott is set to face Baltimore in Baltimore. I wouldn't have done that. Mike Yastrzemski to Roto for 37. I added Yastrzemski in my Tout Wars League. That is a 15-team mixed league that uses on-base percentage instead of batting average. I believe I spent 23 out of 1,000. And as you can see here, he went for 37, but multiple other bids in the 20s there, so about that same price point. Gabriel Arias, who has started out white hot, is just not a very good offensive player. It's 33 out of 1,000. Let's take a shot there. And again, the Fantasy Alarm team did perfectly here because they went 33 and the second bid was 32. So they hit that one. Tyler Anderson went for 32 to Sports to USA Today. Failed bids were 22, 7, and 10. Let's see here. Anderson is so fascinating because he's not good. He's not. But he's got that double leg kick hitch thing, and he, misses bats slightly, keeps guys off balance mostly. He is set to face. Where are you at? Why am I drawing a blank on where are you at, guy? Let's do a little search there because I'm drawing a blank on Anderson. Where are you at, Anderson? I'll remove. It would help if I hit the right button. There we go. Tyler Anderson set to face the Giants on Friday. Giants are hitting pretty good, so I don't know about that. It's not the best pickup of all time, but again, 15-teamer. Don't mind it. Kyle Stowers, $32 bid there. I was the $12 bid on this one, so I was second for Stowers, but he went for $32. Thomas Sagesi went for 31. Carlos Santana for 28. Bids of 11, 1, and 14 there. Ted Ginn, who we talked about, 14, 14, 16 failed bids. I was one of the 14. And the winner goes to Sherper Fantasy Sports for 28. Okay, next page here. Andre Palante for 22. Maydroth, who we just talked about, 22 to Adam Ronis. Again, that same range. He did go for 2 in the last one, right? So same percentage of numbers there. This is a good pickup. Jose Quintana for 18. I like that. Obviously, Quintana's newly on the Brewers. He is very effective without ever being sexy. He's set to face Detroit this week. He then gets the Giants next week, but it's in San Francisco. So, Quintana is the prime 15-team mixed league waiver wire edition. You're in a 10 or 12-team league? Yeah. In a 15-team league, we can roll them out there, and the price point is inexpensive. Matthew Liberatore for 16, same thing. Danny Jansen went to me for 16. I had Freddie Fermin, and he just wasn't hitting or playing. At the end of the day, Jansen, put a couple good swings on the ball this weekend, and he's playing more than Fermin. I have Francisco Alvarez in this league, so this is not. If Danny Jansen doesn't hit the next 2 weeks, I'll drop him anyway. It's no big deal. 16 out of 1,000, no big deal. Just trying to pick up a couple home runs the next 2 weeks. Come on, Danny, help me out. Phil bid there for $3. Adam Ronis got Taijuan Walker for less than 1%. Landon Knack went for less than 1%. Clinton Pierster went for less than 1%. Luis Torres less than 1%. Same thing for Lorenzen, Heineman, Conine, Andy Rodriguez for 2. Brent Herter all went for under $5. Andy Rodriguez was my secondary bid to Danny Jansen. Bart did hurt himself over the weekend. The Pirates called up Henry Davis. Not really certain what they're doing here because Rodriguez is playing a lot of first base for the Pirates. I don't know how long he stays there, and that's my real concern because he's not hit. He's been given the opportunity to play on a daily basis, and he just hasn't hit. And if you look at this team that, Brian Reynolds is still spending a lot of time at DH because his arm isn't right. They did call up Henry Davis. They've got Andrew McCutchen to play in the DL spot as well. And Spencer Horwitz, who I do like a lot, who's out with an injury. Spencer Horwitz he's a couple of weeks away maybe from being recalled, and I think he becomes the first baseman. So that's why I prioritize by $1 Jansen over Andy Rodriguez. But Andy Rodriguez is a good pickup in a 15-team mixed league. So there we go. That's the review of FAAB. We'll look to do that every Monday, kind of go through the players and kind of give a broad view of what people are doing here. A couple of questions here. Brandon says, what up? It's Friday. Yeah, Brandon, it's not Friday. We're lucky. We're all jealous of you. Lorenzen T says, I picked up call yesterday in a 12-team mixed head-to-head that has left field, center field, right field eligibility. I also have Cruz, who's been less than inspiring. Calls lit up yesterday too, which is nice to see. Yeah, it's nice to see, but again, remember in the case of Call, he is what he is. He's not a sexy player. He's not even really a good offensive player. Dylan Cruz's skill set blows doors on Call, just destroys him. Doesn't mean he's going to produce now, and it doesn't mean that Cruz is going to is not going to be removed from this lineup. Remember, this team is moving things around a little bit because obviously C.J. Abrams is out of the lineup right now. So the bottom line is that Call, in an ideal world, Abrams is back hitting leadoff and Call's hitting 8th, right? So keep that in mind too. He's hitting 8th, Cruz hitting 9th. But yeah, in a short-term pickup with the center-left-right thing, solid pickup there. Angelo won his matchup by 2 points thanks to Jung-Hoo Lee, who is powering the ball way better than anyone anticipated he would. He's been terrific thus far for the Giants. Certainly settled into that 3rd spot. And there's like a cult following of him here, by the way, in the Bay Area. A lot of people loving what they're getting out of Jung-Hoo Lee. And I think we would have got it last year. In his scenario, in his case, there were just injuries that got in the way, so I wasn't able to do that. I just closed down my note sheet. There's my note sheet. Helps me to read what I'm talking about with you all. All right, let's go to some news and notes here. Remember, we're doing a little bit of a shorter show today. SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. I'm on the Game Time show from 1 to 3 Eastern today, so right after this show. Then at 3 o'clock Eastern, right after that show, is Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show. Both of those shows on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Let's talk a little bit about what the Cardinals are going to do with their pitching staff. We're talking about Palante and all these guys that we're picking up. Cardinals are going to go with the 6-man rotation. Starting on April 16th, so what is that? 2 days from now. They're going to a 6-man rotation. They're going to get Steve and Matz in the rotation. This will help keep the youngsters theoretically pitching all season long. This will help, hopefully, the bullpen because there'll be less need for, starting pitchers wearing out and then having to go to bullpens. We'll see how this goes. Roderick Munoz is being moved back to the bullpen for the Cardinals. Steven Matz has pitched well thus far, but he's Steve Matz. Like, we know what it is. Really, this is more me to you, just telling you, got to be careful. Like Sonny Gray now, making less starts. You get about generally 5-6 less starts when you go from a 5 to 6-man rotation. So if they keep this up all season long, Sonny Gray loses 5 or 6 starts. That's not good. There might be other guys like a Matz that you could stream now, but nah. So Steven Matz going more about what the team is doing here, and that's the Cardinals deciding that, maybe not in terms of going with the 6-man rotation. Looks like they're going to do it. They said, thumbs up. No one else is doing it. We're doing it. Spencer Strider is expected to start Wednesday against the Blue Jays. As we talked about last week, that was the plan. There's been nothing but positivity since that plan was announced. Fully expected him to be out there now. I read a really interesting article by Travis Sawchik. You can look it up about Spencer Strider and his recovery from surgery, how he had Tommy surgery previously, how this time he had an internal brace, how Strider is very analytical and forward-thinking. It makes me feel really good about Spencer Strider because he's not just the dude lifting weights or throwing a ball against a wall. He's really got a plan. Now, can his arm hold up and all this? We'll see. But he's back on Wednesday. He's been dominant in the minor leagues. The expectation is he'll start for the Braves Wednesday against the Blue Jays, and here we go. So if you got Spencer Strider, fire him up. Still waiting on news for Ronald Acuna, hoping we can see him in a couple of weeks. But as we talked about last week, looking more like early May for his teammate Ronald Acuna. On the other side of things, and this is just, it is what it is. Colin Ray, who no one was talking about, is now probably a thing. Why is Colin Ray a thing? Well, he signed a very low-level contract with the Cubs. And the thought was maybe he'll be the 5th starter, maybe he'll be a swingman. Well, he's been kind of a swingman to this point. It's likely to go into the rotation now. This has not been officially announced, or maybe I missed it this morning. I didn't see it. But the reason this matters is that Justin Steele, who injured his elbow, went to have a secondary opinion on his elbow. When that happens, we know usually not a good thing. It wasn't a good thing. He's going to have elbow surgery. They don't know at this point whether there's going to be internal brace, which generally carries about an 11-month time frame to return, or Tommy John surgery, which is generally about 18 months. The two procedures are different. It matters where the ligament is torn, how close to the bone. Is it closer to the bone? Is it more away from the bone? If you've had the surgery previously, as a lot of guys unfortunately do, it gets very hard to have a second surgery, Tommy John, because you have to drill more holes in the bones. So a lot of guys are trying internal brace if they qualify for it. And they're certainly hoping if it's a secondary surgical situation with their elbow that they can use the internal brace. Bottom line is with Steele, we don't know which procedure is going to be utilized in his situation. Either one knocks him out for this season. If he has the internal brace, maybe he's ready for opening day next year. Maybe. If he has Tommy John, there's no chance. So again, Colin Ray is the likely guy to be inserted into the rotation for now. Is he sexy or exciting? Hell no. As you can see, I don't think we saw his name on any of those lists, right? Even in these 15-team leagues, no one was running out to get Colin Ray. So bad news for the Cubs. Terrible news for you all that have Justin Steele. And obviously, we keep good thought for Justin Steele. All right, now two guys I mentioned earlier, Wilmer Flores and Cam Smith. Now, I'm very, very confused by the Wilmer Flores situation. We know exactly who Wilmer Flores is. He's a veteran player that is only in the starting lineup for the Giants, who love their veteran players. He's only in the starting lineup on a consistent basis because Encarnacion was hurt in camp. The Giants really didn't even want Wilmer Flores to be on their team this year. And they certainly had no intention whatsoever of playing him on a daily basis. Zero intent, not 1%, 0% intention of doing that. Wilmer Flores is 33 years old, and he is just a guy. I mean, last year he had 206. He had 4 home runs and 240 plate appearances and had an OPS of under 600. Terrible season last year. Is he that bad of a hitter? No. Wilmer Flores is a very, very, very league average major league hitter. Are there moments, and have there been moments where he has been really good? Absolutely. Even a couple years ago, he had 23 home runs back in 2023. Earlier in his career, he was platooned a lot, and there were some big performances as a platoon player. But his power is league average. His batting average is league average. His on-base percentage is league average. He has no speed. He's just a guy. And it's one thing when he, back in the old days when he used to qualify at multiple positions, because there were times, ever qualify at 3 positions? Yeah, there were. First base, second base, third. In 2015, he qualified. Well, in 2016, because of 2015. In 2016, he qualified at shortstop, third base, second base, and first base. So there was a time where he was Jose Caballero. He's not that guy anymore. I am literally stunned by the number of questions I have been asked about should I add Wilmer Flores, and I'm okay. I got this position on lockdown because I have Wilmer Flores. Wilmer Flores will be a nothing burger in 2 months. He will be you won't even have him on your roster in 2 months, unless something crazy happens. Do crazy things happen? Every year, crazy things happen. Would I be wanting to, have my success ride or die on Wilmer Flores? Hell frickin' no. No. Wilmer Flores is as league average gets. Ride the wave if you want, but please stop asking me questions about Wilmer Flores. Because if you are, you're just going down the wrong path. A best case scenario, and even with the 6 home runs right now, a best case scenario, Wilmer Flores hits 260 with 23 home runs. It's the best case scenario. Best case scenario is Michael Busch last year. That's it. That's the best case. More likely, he's out of the starting lineup in 2 months, playing in a platoon role, and the rest of the way he hits 231 with 6 home runs. So just be very cautious here. It's way too much Wilmer Flores. I'm seeing it not just in questions to me. I'm seeing it in social media. It's like everyone doesn't know who this guy is. This guy's been in the big leagues for a decade. We know exactly who he is. He's 33 as well. He's not a big muscle guy. Have you ever watched him take a swing? He chops, and he's not going Max Muncy. It's not happening. So just be very cautious there. Another one that I understand, but I don't understand is Cam Smith, whose name keeps coming up in questions to me. I keep saying the same thing on this show. I keep saying the same thing in articles. I keep saying the same thing in Discord, and the questions just keep coming. Let me be very clear about this yet again. Cam Smith is a fantastic long-term prospect for the Astros. He was terrific last year in the minor leagues. He was fantastic in spring training, forcing himself onto the roster this year. He's 22 years old. He has no professional experience whatsoever. He is not hitting at all right now, and he's not playing right now. He's not in the lineup every day. Okay? And even when let's check it out. I'm not positive about this. Game time layout. if you look at this, he's at 7th, 8th. He hasn't hit above 7th all season long. And the last time he hit as high as 7th was on April 1st. So for the last 2 weeks, he's been hitting 8th or 9th. So Cam Smith is not in the lineup on a daily basis. He's not hitting when he's in the lineup. He's always in the bottom third of the lineup. Why is everyone so in love with Cam Smith? I don't, remember, I write about rookies all the time. We talk about what's necessary for a rookie to have success. He played 15 games at A-ball last year, 12 games at high A-ball last year, and 5 games at AA last year. He has less than 175 professional at-bats. Not in the big leagues, professional at-bats. This guy's been a professional baseball player for 43 games. I don't get it. I don't get it. He's not going to run. Okay, so that part of the game is removed. He should hit. I don't dispute that. He's got tremendous power. He could be a 30 home run guy at the big league level. But we're counting on a guy who has no professional experience at all. Zero. This is about as small. I don't remember what it was because I'm forgetting now. But his rise to the majors was one of the shortest in recent memory. I mean, it's just 30 games and he's in the big leagues. Oof. So be very cautious with this, the Cam Smith love. I just, I'm really struggling. And again, his name comes up like every 2 days. I don't see it. Remember too, when you're talking about the Astros, this guy is hitting at the bottom of the lineup on a daily basis, but it's not like they don't have options they could turn to in the outfield. Okay. What they're doing right now is very odd because they've got Cam Smith and Zach DeZenzo, these two youngsters, kind of platooning. And I don't know why you're platooning rookies. Like, it's a weird, traditional baseball wisdom has always said let guys play. For some reason, they're not really letting either guy play. It's just a weird scenario. So that's my thought on Cam Smith. All right, the Rockies placed Tyler Freeman on the 10-day injured list with an oblique strain. Why does that matter? Because as we talked about earlier, Amador has been called up. Adael Amador, has been called up by the Rockies. Amador is at one point in time was a top 3 prospect in the organization of the Rockies. His outlook has backed up over the last couple of years. He's kind of a short, stocky second baseman with a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, but nothing he does jumps out. And there was a hope that his game would grow to the point where his power-speed combination would be really attractive. At this point, he's probably a 15 home run, 10 steal guy, which again, nothing wrong with that. That works in certain scenarios. But the real issue right now is that we don't know how long he's going to be up with the club. It's very likely he's hitting 8th or 9th too. That's, oblique injury for Freeman, that could be 4 to 6 weeks though. So we could be looking at, Amador with a month time here to prove himself. At some point when the Rockies have to make this decision, and they haven't generally yet, they should, but they haven't generally yet. They've got Veen in the lineup. They've got Goodman in the lineup. They've got Amador in the lineup. Like, there's a lot of youth. So Amador is not a terrible addition in deep leagues, but you have to be in a deep league because there's uncertainty about performance. There's uncertainty about whether the power is going to translate even in Colorado. And there's uncertainty about his long-term outlook in terms of playing time and his spot in the batting order. So cautious optimism in deep leagues. In 10 and 12 team leagues, I really think you can do better at this point in time. For those of you into the torpedo bat thing, as we talked about here on the show a lot, Wilson Contreras is using a torpedo bat. He used it in practice, got a couple of hits on Sunday, so I guess he's a torpedo bat guy. Whatever it is, he's going to be fine. He's too good and been too consistent year to year to think that he won't be. But it has been a really slow start. I get a little nervous when a guy starts slowly, like Contreras, who's been in the big leagues for 10 years, been an all-star, and he's got to change his bat here 2 weeks into the season. It makes me a little nervous. Are you really trusting yourself? Just give it time. But using the torpedo bat for those of you that care about that kind of stuff. Jordan Walker went 2 for 4 with a 2-run home run on Sunday. Just doing a little check-in on Jordan Walker. Though his slugging percentage is under 400, which stings. Batting .275 with a .350 on base percentage. It's really nice. And there have been ups and downs for him to this point in time. I think overall his season to date's been solid. And I'm still intrigued. And he is a post-hype sleeper prospect, Jordan Walker, who, remember, still super, is he 23? He might even be 22 right now. Still super young. Still has that ability to be 25 home run hitter. Still could steal you 15 bases. He hasn't run since stealing a couple bases to start the year, but he could still get double digits there for you. Just don't forget about him. I don't think he's on the waiver wire. I don't think so. But if he is, this is a really talented guy. And I'd take a shot on Jordan Walker over Amador as an example if we're talking young players. Taylor Ward, somebody to talk about here. Taylor Ward went 1-5 with a solo home run. That's the second game in a row with a home run. He's got 5 home runs last 5 games, I believe. Taylor Ward is not a prototypical leadoff guy, but he bats leadoff. He has a .350 on base percentage, and when he's out there, he's very effective. His value is closely tied to the players around him in the lineup. Right now, Mike Trout hasn't been great offensively, but he sure is powering the baseball when he hits it. So all Taylor Ward's going to do is get on base and score a run because Trout's blasting balls into the seats right now. Taylor Ward's a very sneaky play. He's a very solid contributor, a 20, 75, 75 kind of guy who could be better than that. I've always thought that if it all came together, there's that one 29, 95, 95 kind of season for Ward. Problem is the Angels are always beat up. They're just not a very good team. But I wouldn't be stunned if Taylor Ward is at least, he will reach his floor. The ceiling is just really close to the floor, but I just really like Taylor Ward. No one talks about him, so I just wanted to give him a shout out. He's blazing right now for no other reason. If you're in a 10-teamer and he's on the waiver wire, add him for that reason. Zebby Mathews, as we talked about earlier, will not be called up. David Festa will make another turn in the rotation. It's possible that next turn through, Zebby Mathews will be promoted by the Twins, so keep that in mind. I should have thrown this up on the screen. Sorry about that. I'm thinking about too many things today. Clarke Schmidt's going to return to make his season debut from his shoulder injury on Wednesday against the Royals. I'm always cautious about starting a guy the first time out, so I'm not saying go rush to start Clarke Schmidt this week. But remember, Schmidt was really effective last season. He's desperately needed by the Yankees, who lost Heel and Cole. He should go right into that rotation. Okay, maybe he's at 65, 75 pitches. So again, I'm not calling to start him on Wednesday, but check your waiver wire. He could have been dropped when he was hurt. Someone could have rage dropped him. Shouldn't be on the waiver wire in the majority of leagues. And then finally, this situation was with the Reds bullpen. Alexis Diaz is likely to be activated this week. We don't know when that is. Terry Francona did not say the moment he's activated, he's going back to be the closer. That's the assumption we're all making still, but Francona did not say that when he was asked over the weekend. Emilio Pagan and Tony Santillan are pitching very well right now. So it's possible that Diaz will return and have to prove it. And if he goes out there and he has a couple of outings and he walks 3 guys and gives up a home run. So while I still think Diaz leads the Reds in saves this season, really uncertain what his short-term outlook is, and I just wanted to pass that on. All right, so there it is, folks. Again, we're doing a little bit shorter today. Appreciate all your time. We'll be back tomorrow here on the show. I am Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. At @TheRayFlowers on all the social media platforms. Go to FantasyGuru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page to sign up for any of our products: baseball, football, basketball, hockey, NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, all of it. Send a note to support@FantasyGuru.com. Support@FantasyGuru.com if you've got a question or a concern or a problem, or you want to create a new scenario where you get this and you get a little bit of that. Support@FantasyGuru.com. Remember, all day this week, 12 o'clock Eastern, this show, Fantasy Sports Daily for free. I gotta get my times right. At 1 o'clock Eastern, when the show ends in about 15 minutes, I'll be on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with Justin Fensterman on the Game Time show. That is normally Monday through Friday at 8 to 10 Eastern, which is where we will return next week. But for this week, it's 1 to 3. So right after this show is that show this week. And right after that second show with Justin and me from 1 to 3 Eastern is the Elite Sports show with Jeff Mans at 3 o'clock Eastern. So 1 hour here, Monday through Friday this week at 12 o'clock. We want to go from 1 to 3 on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio for Game Time, and then from 3 on SiriusXM, the Elite Sports Show with Jeff Mans. So I got to go. Catch us up. Catch me over at SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Head over to FG. One final point of view, because of the way the schedule is this week, just so everyone knows, I start work at 6:45 in the morning each day. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm always 3 hours behind everyone on the East Coast. With all the talking doing in the morning, I simply don't have time to do the Raised Plays article as I've been doing this season. I'll try to get something out. I'm thinking I'll probably look at pitching. And can I just do the pitching half of things? I just won't have time to do the pitching and the hitting. Just the calendar doesn't work in terms of the clock, because I don't get off the show with Justin until at least noon. And 2.5, 3 hours is just not enough time to write the article. So I'll still get some bets up over at FG. I'll still try to get something up for DFS for this week. Again, we'll return to our normally scheduled program next week for Raised Plays and for the Game Time show on SiriusXM. Thanks for joining me today. Appreciate it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Myself and Armando Marsal will join you tomorrow. We'll talk a little baseball, a little football, and hopefully continue to have fun. Tell a friend about the show. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff over on YouTube, youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. check us out there. You can always find the show. Go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. I'm Ray Flowers. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Got to go get ready for SiriusXM. Have a good Monday, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. This is Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.